First, we'll have a look at examples of what can be achieved with laser therapy. Then we will see what principle underlies all these effects. And then we will look at the biological mechanisms that provide an explanation for these effects. We will then see how these mechanisms manifest themselves at the tissue level so that they become visible and measurable. And at the end, we will summarize these points and see to what extent photomedicine therapy breaks many of the usual thought patterns of medicine.
What are the mechanisms that are responsible for the effects of PBM? There are two ways to influence bodily processes. One, the effects of photons on the respiratory chain in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Two, the effects on processes in the cell nucleus and in the cell matrix. In this chapter, we will summarize everything we've covered so far in terms of known measurable medical parameters, where we will translate the cellular effects to the level of different tissue.
What do the parameters have to look like so that we can achieve the documented successes and effects? The second part of the course, therefore, still belongs to the basics. And evaluate this part just like the first part as a run-through that you listen to only once. And after the second fundamental part, the focus then will be exclusively on indication-related practice.
In this part of the course, we will come to a final factor that influences the effectiveness of laser therapy, the application technique. The treatment technique plays a role especially when we work with mobile, manually operated laser devices. The technique is often neglected, but it has a decisive influence on the therapy result. We will look at the following techniques. First, general techniques, then techniques for treating joints, then wound treatment, and finally, treatment of body orifices.
We will visit now in this part the various medical fields and specialties with a clear knowledge of the background of PBM and see how PBM is used in the different medical fields. So this third part of the course is now dedicated to the different application forms of PBM.
We now come to an area in which PBM is better known than in other fields, orthopedics and sports medicine. PBM is best known here among physiotherapists and sports physicians. Dermatology is very much in the focus of modern PBM. Here too, just as in sports medicine, we have an area where a great deal of money is involved. In aesthetic medicine, customers are used to their treatment costing money. In the field of gastrointestinal diseases, for example, and the microbiome in general, research is still ongoing.
On the subject of this third part of the course, which are the application fields of PBM, we still have another chapter B, where we talk about special applications of the laser. Here, when it comes to special applications, the laser is used for a purpose other than photobiomodulation. Now this part, the fourth part, is about the different forms of application. So we look at the PBM again from a different point of view. There are overlaps and some things will look familiar to you. Now, why are we doing this? Because with this perspective, we can summarize everything we have learned in a simple order that leads us elegantly and directly into practice.
We call the approaches of PBM to influence the brain metabolism central applications, in reference to the central nervous system, the brain. PBM and the brain is the key term when searching for studies and literature. Transcranial laser therapy is, of course, a variant of local therapy, if we want to be absolutely precise concerning our classification scheme. Nevertheless, this particular form of application is a category of its own. It specifically concerns the brain, and it concerns diseases with special features.